So today we're going to talk about this. Bind is back at the start of Act 3. Here are all the changes you can expect when Bind returns to the competitive queue in patch 6.08 starting on April 25th. So pretty soon Bind is going to be back into the pool with these changes. So the first change is perhaps the biggest of the changes, and so we'll spend the longest on this one. There's actually two little changes in this. One is the doorway to shower is getting a bit bigger, you can see just there. But then obviously the big change is that the teleporter has moved from, back here to where it is in this image. And let's first talk about the little doorway changing. It's not a massive change, makes it a bit easier to get in here. Maybe you'll be able to, see people. The angles will be a bit wider for taking fights there at the back of shower down here, right? But the big change is, of course, the teleport and how that affects the game. And I think this will have a fairly sizable impact on the map, I think, because this teleporter becomes better for the attackers to use, right? It means that your rotation time, say you're on B long, you come and take the teleporter, right? You can be quicker to the site than you could before. So if the defenders have rotated all the way over to B and you've convinced them this is a B hit, you can very, very quickly get onto the A site, particularly if you've got, a teammate who's already maybe in shower or something like that, right? Or already on the A site. You can very quickly just take the teleport, get to the A site, and it's going to be more rewarding because you'll be there much quicker than defenders are. And if the defenders have even rotated a bit, you will be there, much quicker than you were before. So that's kind of the big thing, right? Also, it has some little tiny things of where there used to be, certain plays where if you were an attacker standing, in this kind of space, with the old teleport, it was possible that, you could get pinched from here and down here. Now, that pinch isn't going to be as accessible unless you're actually in shower itself. So being on shower on your own, though, does become a bit of a danger, right? Because you can imagine a scenario where it goes flash here, and if the defenders have, that B long control, they're going to be right on you, right? So you're in a lot of trouble here if you're stuck on your own here and they take the teleporter. You could be in a lot of trouble. So overall, I love this change for the map. I think obviously the devs want the teleporters to be used. That's kind of Bind's thing. And so I think that this is a good change, that this teleporter will be used more, and maybe playing for B long and for shower control becomes, even more important because this teleporter will become, a bit better overall as an option for the attackers to take. Let's quickly talk about where the teleporter, where it was, what it looks like now. So that's what it used to look like before. What they've changed, obviously, is that's just a wall now. And they also changed this box, right? So it used to be that there was, quite this kind of sturdy box here. That does make sense to me because obviously if you took the teleporter now where it is, if this box was still like this, a defender who's pushed out of shower, right, and has come down here and is just hiding behind this box would be very, very annoying to deal with, right? And so when you're coming out of the teleporter now, with the new one, you probably want to start on this side, come out this way, look this way first, right? Look down here to make sure no one's pushed there if you don't have that control already, and then kind of swing around here, right? So that's probably what you want to be doing. But you do have to be careful again, right? When you're coming out of this teleporter of, the kind of wall back here that we can't really see, that no one's pushed around there, because if they have, again, you're still going to be in quite a bit of trouble. Okay, now some small changes to the interior shower itself. So this wall here, this one here, is getting smaller, basically. As you will see in this next picture, it's just getting a bit smaller. Now, I would think that the reason for this is to make it harder to dodge utility if you are standing in this corner, and also so that you can't double stack it, which you didn't see a lot of double stacking in this corner, but I guess you could have, and that might have been, something that they didn't want to happen, and so they just made it a bit smaller so that makes it, harder to do that. Also, the exit to shower is getting a bit wider as well, so both the entrance and exit are getting a bit wider. Which is, handy again for any attackers trying to get out of here. Is this enough of a change to make this worth it? Probably still no. You almost never see 3+ man exits coming out here for a lot of reasons, but one of them is that this choke point is incredibly small. It still is small enough that, any Viper Molly, any Raise Nade in here, yeah, good luck. Right, good luck with that, my friend, as you come out and you have to check this close angle, and then you come around here, and then you have all this on your other side to deal with, whilst dealing with Heaven as well, and dealing with what's in front of you. Good luck still getting out of here. I still don't think this will make a ton of difference. Okay, this one's a bit of a weird change, but they just added this little dustbin here. I don't quite know without actually, being on top of it myself, if this is you can see more towards maybe short or maybe towards Heaven as an attacker. This gives you a better angle if you stand on it, but I guess it must do, because otherwise It's just a very odd change. They also changed this, where this wall has become much smaller. So beforehand, you know, if an attacker could get up here, this was a very annoying angle to deal with, as, you know, retaking defenders to come here and someone's just there and it's a ratty angle and it's annoying to deal with. So they decided to basically, you know, make that easier for defenders, you know, make it so that this comes out here and, you know, you don't have to deal with that angle as much. And yeah, so that's kind of a fix for that. One change to these boxes, and this is probably the other really significant change, I would say, which is this is what it used to look like, right? This box here, but now you have kind of a bit of extra space. And I would guess that, you know, I mean, I could maybe even see, you know, a crouched raise here fighting Heaven potentially if someone is holding that, right? I mean, there's a ton of extra possibilities with stuff like this now. But obviously, I think the main purpose is that it makes it planting the spike here a bit easier, right? If someone is towards lamps or coming, you know, kind of from the flank towards the teleport and whatnot, you know, that planting in this box was still not a great situation. But now, hey, I could be planting here, or maybe I'm planting here, right? So your spam is more likely to miss, basically. It's going to be interesting. I don't quite know the length of this, you know, how close this is to the wall, because it might be possible you could get a smoke in here, which might also be an interesting little smoke to kind of cut the site in two. Not quite sure how that will work. If so, that means that, you know, you might only need like one smoke here, one smoke there, you know, as a possibility. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. But yeah, that could be. This is a pretty significant change, I think. And then we have some changes to the B site as well. This one's not too big, other than the fact that this looks really ugly. Is this just me, or does this need to like carry on to the end of this to not be super ugly? Because this just looks weird. But, you know, again, this is just to allow people to get out a bit easier, right? Bigger choke point, allow people to get out. You know, if you slightly miss your Viper Molly over here, hey, look, I can sneak this way. Whereas before I wouldn't have been able to. And then this change is a really like little tiny change, but it's really cool. They added this vent in here. And what this means is that, you know, you could throw a Fade Haunt, or you could throw a flash through there, or a nade, or whatever it is, right? And the idea is, you know, I mean, for both sides, really, you can imagine someone planting default here, or a little raise standing back here, throws a nade across there, hits default, something like that. Or maybe, you know, you're a Sky on the attacking side, you send a flash in there, right? Your teammate comes and swings with it, something like that. Something like that could be very, very interesting, especially for post plants and stuff like that, and playing around this vent and flashing through it, and all that good stuff. And so those were the changes. Overall, I think that it's, you know, becoming a slightly easier time for attackers to maybe take some of this space, as well as the teleport to change, perhaps becoming more important than it was before. So maybe the extremities of the map might become a bit more heightened importance because of the use of that teleporter, for instance. So, you know, there will be some change to the map. It won't be monumental overall. I still expect the meta to kind of be the same as it was before, but I do appreciate most of these changes. So that, of course, brings up the question, what map is rotating out? Well, some people have speculated maybe there won't be a rotated map. Maybe we'll just go to 8 maps. I would be surprised if that was the case, because, you know, the last time that they rotated maps, they mentioned this. You know, we went over our decision to maintain a 7 map pool at all times in the unrated and competitive queues, but TLDR, too many maps to learn can feel overwhelming. It doesn't give you some of the opportunity to really go deep on any one of them. I don't see what could have changed, and they did mention the words at all times here, so, you know, that would be quite a shift in philosophy in just a couple months. So I do think a map will rotate, and so that brings up the question, which one? Well, to me, there's probably 4 options. Those are Ascent, Haven, Icebox, and Fracture. And let's go through each one of those 4 options, because those are kind of the 4 oldest maps that haven't been rotated yet, and so therefore probably the 4 most likely. Starting off with the least likely, and I would give this map maybe like a 10% chance of being rotated, but really I'd be surprised if it did, and that is Haven. The reason I don't think that Haven would get rotated, or at least I don't expect it to be, is because it's a very popular map. I think most people like Haven. Even if it's not your favorite map, it's probably not your least favorite map either. And so I think, and a lot of people do like Haven, so it would be not a popular decision, I think. It's a pretty balanced map in terms of, you know, I myself have had plenty of games where it's attack side on Haven or defense side on Haven. Kind of depends from game to game, right? It doesn't feel like either side is like, oh no, we're just in desperate trouble and that we've got no chance on either side. And that's kind of true in pro play as well. So it's a pretty balanced map that people like. And so even though it's a very old map, I think, you know, it's a pretty balanced one that they haven't needed to change. I'd be surprised if they rotate Haven. With about a 20% chance of rotation, I'm going to put Ascent. Again, Ascent is a pretty popular map overall. Yes, it is quite old. I do have it more likely than Haven because there is, I think, some balance problems. I do think that Ascent could use with some small changes if it did get rotated. You know, I think it is maybe a little too defender friendly, and that, you know, having some of the things that we just saw for Bind, where, you know, just opening stuff up, making it a bit easier for the attackers maybe, you know, could be a good thing for Ascent on the whole. And so there are some problems with Ascent, but it is a very popular map for a lot of people. And so I wouldn't expect it to be rotated, but, you know, I wouldn't be shocked either. With a 30% chance, I'm going to put Fracture. Now, Fracture has some things going for it and some things going against it, right? It is the newest of the maps we've mentioned, but then again, Breeze, you know, kind of the gap between Breeze and its rotation to Fracture and its rotation now is kind of the same. So I don't think time length is really, you know, all in all going for Fracture, but they did change the map relatively recently and, you know, give it that makeover with drop and all of that kind of stuff. So maybe that will mean that they don't rotate it out. It's not the most popular map in the pool, and so I do think that, you know, that is one thing going against it. And also, maybe you could argue that it is the most similar to Bind of the maps, right? So with Bind coming back in, maybe you want to get rid of a map that's somewhat similar to it, and so therefore, you know, Fracture might be on the chopping block. But then the most likely map, and maybe this is me just wish casting here, but that's Icebox. Now, I personally hate Icebox. Think it's a bad map. You know, wouldn't mind if Icebox left and never came back. I'll be real with you, even though my win rate on Icebox is pretty good. But the reason is, Icebox is a map, we all know that it has its failures, right? Just as a map, there are parts of the map that are, you know, extremely difficult to play well, and can just feel like, you know, just, I mean, who sees who first a lot of the time. And so I think it has a lot of problems. It plays out in quite a boring, predictable way a lot of the time, whether that be in ranked, whether that be in pro play. It's kind of the same thing where it's just a lot of 5-stack go A, 5-stack go B, maybe someone lurks. You know, that's pretty much just how the map is played. And so could we see a change for Icebox? I wouldn't be too surprised. Is Icebox the most popular map with the people? I don't think so. I think there's quite a few people like me who, you know, don't particularly appreciate Icebox and what it is as a map. So that could be the case. Would they want both Icebox and Breeze, the kind of two big maps, to be rotated out? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they've seen that agents like Viper and Harbor can still exist and still have a place in the meta even without maps like that. So maybe they feel more comfortable in doing it. I don't know. But I would put Icebox as probably the most likely because I think it has, you know, all the kind of checklist of a map that might need to be rotated out. But those were just some of my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and which map do you think will be rotating out?